I think that it's such a valid point to say the things that we're afraid of are not necessarily going to harm us, and we have to kind of step forward through the fear. How do you approach it with your clients in terms of that?
And like I said, it is different for everybody. So I always take a very individual approach. But one of the things is, who do you see yourself? What story are you telling yourself? So that is the first thing. And the second is, when you apply some very simple things, you can already elevate your confidence in communicating or public speaking. So to give you an example, people are underprepared oftentimes. And by that, I don't mean that they don't know their stuff. But if you have to go in front of an audience, say you're telling your story, then make sure that you know exactly what you want to talk about and practice that. Even if you don't write everything out, you still can put up the bullet points and then practice it before you even go in front of that audience. But when you practice, and what I call that my invisible stages. So what you do behind the curtain that no one sees will direct the outcome that everybody sees when you are in the spotlight, when you are on stage. And you feel already your level of confidence growing because you have it memorized or practiced so many times that it becomes muscle memory.
Welcome to Her Unshakeable Confidence. I'm Simone Knego,
And I'm Olivia Knego.
and we are so excited to have a special guest with us today, Sabine Kvenberg. And she is a best-selling author, speaker, and communication coach. I really want to focus on the communication piece. So I just kind of want to jump in with talking about confidence is one thing, but helping people be able to speak confidently. For example, my husband is a physician, and he will say he can't imagine anything worse than getting up on stage. It is so stressful for him. So I just want to talk about that to start with and just kind of see your thoughts on why is this such a big struggle for people just to put their voice out there?
Well, there are a lot of moving parts to that, right? But you're absolutely right. About between 60 and 70% of people said that public speaking is their number one fear, even before death, right?
Mhm.
So the question is why? And it's different for everybody. Some have low confidence, low self esteem because they really don't know who they are, if we go to the bottom of it.
Mhm.
And then there are all those fears, and fears are our biggest held back what we have in life. Fear of being judged. What if I go out there and they make fun of me? Or what if they say what I say is not good enough? Again, fear not being good enough. There's so many moving parts. So when I work with my clients, I unpack that first before I even go into speaking or teaching
Mhm.
them some of the strategy. So we're working on that hidden level of confidence, and that is really discovering what is holding them back.
Yeah, I it's interesting watching people who I feel are pretty confident people, but when it comes to communication, it really still is a struggle. And it's just a reminder for that a lot of times we look at other people and say, oh my gosh, they're so confident. And we all struggle with something. We're all afraid of something. I mean, Olivia's afraid of gorillas. I'm afraid of spiders. But, I think that it's such a valid point to say, this is the things that we're afraid of are not necessarily going to harm us, and we have to kind of step forward through the fear. Is that how do you approach it with your clients in terms of that?
Yeah, like I said, it is different for everybody. So I always take a very individual approach. But for example, I do have a community called the Vibrant Voices Network. And obviously, I work in a group setting and I take it a little bit more on a generic level. But one of the things is, who do you see yourself? What story are you telling
Mm.
yourself? I'm known as the storytelling dame from
Mm-hmm.
Germany because
Yes.
of my background in acting and directing. So that is the first thing. And So going on that level. The second is when you apply some very simple things, you can already elevate your confidence in communicating or public speaking. So to give you an example, people are underprepared oftentimes. And by that, I don't mean that they don't know their stuff, but if you have to go in front of an audience, say you're telling a story, then make sure that you know exactly what you want to talk about and practice that. Even if you don't write everything out, you still can put up the bullet points and then practice it before you even go in front of that audience. If it's like a small team meeting, you're going on stage, it doesn't matter what it is. But when you practice, and what I call that uh, my invisible stages. So what you do behind the curtain that no one sees will direct the outcome that everybody sees when you are in the spotlight, when you are on stage. And so if you have a talk, practice that talk. Have it, do it in front of your cat or your dog or whatever,
Yep.
right? And you feel already your level of confidence growing because you have it memorized or practiced so many times that it becomes muscle memory.
Yeah, I think that's so important. I have the biggest speech of my life tomorrow.
Mm.
Ooh, what is
Yes.
that?
I'm speaking to my daughters at my daughter's senior convocation. So she's our youngest daughter, and I was asked to speak in front of the entire senior class, their parents, the kindergarten class, their parents, and the entire upper school. And so, not that I feel pressure about it, but again, it's the idea of speaking in front of your daughter's senior class,
Mm-hmm.
where so I've definitely been practicing. And I start off with humor because, right? Does
Yeah,
she really want me speaking there? Absolutely not, right? Like, what senior wants their mom standing in front of their class speaking? But this is what I do for a living, and they asked me to do it, so I said yes. And so it's kind of funny that the idea of practicing, I think, is huge. And a lot
hmm
of times we'll go to an event and say, "Oh my gosh, they're such a good speaker." Well, how many hours did they put in
Yeah.
to get to that, right?
yes.
And even like for Olivia in law school, like when you're preparing, when you're out in the world in the future, when you're preparing, what do you say, a brief, when you're preparing something to go
Yeah.
in front of the judge,
Sure.
you're not just going to just throw it
Wing
out there,
it. Yeah,
right?
that's not how
Yeah,
that works. You can't wing
right.
anything.
Yeah.
It's a good way to find yourself in an embarrassing situation.
hmm Exactly.
So we don't need to set ourselves up for failure, and so much of that is the practice. I like the term invisible stage a lot because it is it's treating it like it's the real thing, right? So you're just standing behind the curtain instead of in front of the curtain.
Right, right. And when I use this term invisible stage, I also use it in many different uh, relations. So, for example, your personal growth.
Mm,
When you listen to a podcast like this, for example, you are working on your invisible stage. You are
Mm.
working on your personal growth, learning new skills, practicing uh, so many levels. And that is in private. Nobody sees that. And you mentioned speakers, the great speakers that go out there. They practiced and practiced and practiced. And also through failure, by the way, you get better. So, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that was not good. And I can tell you so many examples from my own experience, even when I was an actress, the times I was prepared and the times I was not.
hmm
In retrospect, now I see it more clearly. Back then, oftentimes, which is another big thing, you blame others for your shortcoming.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I did this because I messed up at an audition and I said, oh, this director, she is just awful, right? I was a young actress, right? We do those things. But on the other side, when I auditioned, to give you a quick example, for a role, uh, the first production, the first German production of Les Miserables back then, and that was in Vienna, Austria. I was in Hamburg, which is about the opposite end on the
Mm.
northern part of Germany, and I was playing there. I know I had to find a new job. So what do I want to do? And as a young ingenue, always the funny character, I wanted to do something more of the villain. So Madame Thénardier was the one that I wanted to do. And I know that in the entertainment industry, there are hundreds of people who audition, right?
Hmm.
So you have to stand out. But the first thing that I did is I prepared. So I had a song that was matching the intricate, difficult level of the song in the play Les Miserables for Madame Thénardier. I had a musician just transpose it one step so I could belt it to the best. Then he recorded it. I had a tape recorder back then. Olivia, we still had the tape recorders.
I don't know. Have you seen one of those, Liv?
Yes, I know what a tape recorder is. Thank
Yes.
you.
Okay. Okay.
So I practiced and practiced until it became muscle memory. Because when you're in an audition situation, same thing. If you have to speak in front of people, that's what an audition is, right? You are nervous. That is totally normal.
Hmm.
You're a lot of pressure, but I became muscle memory, and then I prepared a little bit more. I took that tape recorder with me because usually you have a pianist who accompanies you. But I also knew that this was a very difficult piece to play. It was handwritten, transposed. So I said, I better prepare for that if he's not able to do it. So I came in and I was very polite and said, uh, do you want to accompany me? If not, I have a tape recorder, so I can use that as well. He said, yeah, use the tape recorder. And that was great for me because I knew it. And so I did it. And that is another tip. If you just listen to that, when you are prepared, at one point, you have to let go of the outcome.
Mm,
You have to say, all right, this is it. I did the best I could do. And now let's just enjoy it and have fun. And don't worry about the outcome. And that's what I did. And when I was done, I nailed it. And when I was done, usually what they say, thank you. We don't call us, we call you. So it's
yeah.
kind of the
Yeah.
standard. And I was done. And then I heard, wouldn't you mind going upstairs with our musical director and work on a piece? Inside, I was like, yes,
Yes.
yes. I
Yeah.
got one step further. And well, long story short, I ended up securing that role.
Oh,
Wow.
that's amazing. Yeah, that's an amazing story. And, I think that's such a good story for our listeners to hear is that, right, you put in the work. So many people talk about setting a goal, right? And I'm not, I very much believe in goals in the moment. I don't believe that you wait for another day or you wait for New Year's Day or you wait for
Hmm.
Monday. You do it now.
Hmm.
But it's not the goal, it's the work you put in behind the goal. So yes, we want to make this happen, but you have to put in the work. It's not just going to magically appear for you. Yes, we can talk about manifesting, but the people who manifest also put in the work because they really want it.
Right. Yes. Yes, absolutely. And that is again the you want to set goals and you want to see something. It's a vision that you have, and then you put that vision into goals, and then you chop it down into process goals, right? You have that big thing. And so there, just take one step today and then another step tomorrow. And once you have that set, you have a straighter line, because if you don't have a goal, then you can go so many different directions and maybe never get there, or it takes a longer time.
Right. Yeah. And we see it happen all the time where people are like, oh, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. But then they don't do any of the work. I saw something funny yesterday where I actually texted Olivia. I'm like, oh, because she's now one of the things she focuses on is really making her bed every day. And
Yeah.
it was like
My bed is made right now.
you are 206 more times to be a millionaire if you make your bed every day.
Yep.
So Sabine, I have to ask you if we can pause for a minute.
Of
Olivia
course.
is not feeling great, so she's
I'm
got
just
to
gonna go
run.
grab a glass of water and run to the
Okay,
bathroom real quick.
Sure.
okay.
Sure.
I'll be
So,
quick.
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Olivia has Crohn's, and certain days are not so great. So I think
Hmm.
this is one of those days.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, she was diagnosed when she was 16, um, which was, and it's one of those parenting moments where we have 6 children, and so we're like, oh, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. And then we started noticing how much weight she was losing, and not on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And she finally said, I really feel horrible. Can you, and I was like, okay, we should probably take you somewhere. And they did blood work and her levels were through the roof. And then she had a colonoscopy. They're like, yeah, she has severe Crohn's. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like the worst parent ever.
Wow. No, no, no. Wow. I want to share something with you. You can take a look at it, but have you heard of LifeWave?
I have not.
Okay, I'm going to send you information. And I heard from, I don't have or anything in my family, but I heard some people have some really great results with that.
Hmm.
And on Sunday, I think the doctor's call. They're talking about different things, and so you can get on there,
Yeah.
maybe ask some questions and whatnot. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
definitely. I'll take a look at it.
yeah, and it's one of the things I'm taking myself is just non-invasive, just working with light. So I'll
Yeah.
send you that
Yeah.
information, and you can
Okay.
take a look at it.
Thank you.
Mhm.
You good? Liv, you good?
Yes, I'm good. Did you see Smalls run in the back? No.
No, I didn't. I wasn't paying attention. Sorry.
Okay. I don't know where she is. I have
I
a
didn't.
cat. I heard her, but I didn't see her.
Oh,
If just in case, I have two dogs, and they're in
oh.
my office all the time. They're sleeping most of the time, but
We have 3 dogs,
animals.
so yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, it's part of it. That's why we were like, we don't really edit anything out. I mean, we'll edit that out, but we don't
Hmm.
really edit anything out because, um, life
You know,
happens.
and I would
Yeah.
like to say on the pet things, everyone is always apologizing for their pets, like when they're seen in interviews and things like that. I think people want to see your pets.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think it makes it
sometimes it's
better.
sometimes it's the most exciting part, right?
Yeah.
Right, right,
Um,
right.
okay,
So you did a lot of on stage performances then, not behind a camera.
Correct. So the first 10 years I did live performances, stage. I was a musical theater performer, but also I did straight plays. But I also did like TV and voiceovers. In Germany, all TV series are being dubbed from English into German. So I did that, and some series like crime series, but you would know it here in the United States. Um, and then I traveled the world. I worked for a company together with my then husband, and we were directors for a company who had like different vacation spots, and they needed shows for the evening. So we created those. It was a fun time. We
yeah,
saw the world, and then of course when we moved to the States, we opened a performing arts school, which I helmed for 27 years. And during that time, we did a lot of productions, putting on shows. I had with like a small theater in our building, and yeah, so it was a lot of fun. And knowing being in front of the camera and also being behind the camera. So I really understand what it takes. And being a director, I wrote several shows. Uh, I also know the power of storytelling. And
mm,
when you talk about communication and speaking, one of the things that I always am very fond of, excuse me, one of the things that I talk with my clients is incorporate your stories. And I know, Simone, you've talked about stories. I listened to the latest episode and I enjoyed it very much. The power of stories are intense and very important. But here's the thing, sometimes people say, okay, I'm telling a story now. I was born and then I did
mm,
this and then
yeah,
so, but you gotta grab people's attention starting in the middle of the scene, like
mm-hmm.
what they do in the movies, right? They grab you most of the time right away if it's a good movie. So that's the power of storytelling. And yeah, that's what I also did in my last book, um, when I worked with 12 women on their stories.
Yeah. So I want to talk about your last book, your upcoming book, right? You have a book
Yes.
called Gumption that's coming out. When does that
Mhm.
come out?
That release date is in January of
Oh,
2026.
very exciting. So
Yeah.
tell me about both books. Tell me about the first book, which is a collaborative book. Is that
Yes.
correct?
So,
Okay.
yes. So, which is actually my third book. The first two were Secrets on How to Succeed in Showbiz. That's all related to that and unlock your full potential. But this book, Become Empowered, is a anthology. I curated that because I have my podcast, Become Empowered. And there were so many people who wanted to be on the show who, I said, I couldn't take them all. What can I do? What is another medium? So and I thought, okay, how about the book? And I found 12 amazing women who shared their story of overcoming and becoming empowered, going through that adversity and sometimes traumatic experience, like losing a child. And this is one of the things that I treasure most because it's the ripple effect that I did not even anticipate it at the beginning. To give you an example, some of them who started out with me sharing their story are now authors, created their own or written their own books. But here's one story to tell you the power of telling a story and the ripple effect that it has. One of the authors told a story very authentically, what she went through, divorce, messy, and how messed up she was. But one of a relative who there was no contact whatsoever, very, very harsh, she read her story
Wow.
and for the first time, and then she came back to her and said, I am so sorry. I
Wow.
had no idea. That is, you
Yeah.
don't even know. And that is
Hmm.
so powerful. So yeah, that is my fourth, that's the third book. The fourth book, Gumchin, is is quite interesting how that came about. I I wasn't ready to write this book. I was at a uh, Podfest Expo, and I was interviewed by someone there, and she came to me and said, Sabine, you need to write a book. And I said, I already wrote 3 books, right? She said, no, no, you don't understand. You have to write your book, your memoirs, your
Mm.
biography, whatever. And I said, well, it was in the back of my head, but sometime, how we do that. And then I said, let me think about it. That same day, talk about synchronicity. That same day, I walked in the expo hall and there was a table with a publisher. And there was a sign that says, pitch your book and we will give you feedback. I thought to myself, well, I don't have a book, but well, let me just get some feedback.
Yeah.
So the next day I went and I asked, so I told my story or snippets, and then there was silence. So was it bad? And then the person who listened to it, she said, you're a good storyteller, but some of them really made me choke. And you need to write your book.
Mm.
I said, okay. Next day,
Mm.
she said, we need to finish that. I have to tell you all about it. So, well, long story short, I always listen to my intuition and I always know everything happens for a reason.
Mm.
And I said, yes. I jumped in with all the things that come along with it, as you probably know. And here we are, 8 months later. It's in the process of being edited right now. And through that process, oh my gosh, so many things started to open up for me, the opportunities. Like in next month, I'm speaking at the Oxford University. I'm doing a talk there
Mm.
in England, and so many other things already. So it's just a blessing, and I can't wait for that book to come out. To give you just how I see it, it's somewhere between chicken noodle soup for the souls, because I share lots of stories. The secret, because there are a lot of those metaphysical things in it that I think is very important. And Think and Grow Rich, all
Mm,
the principles of Napoleon Hill that he got from all these successful
Mm.
people. So this is kind of how I see this book, and the readers will get something out of them for them. I don't spill everything out, do this, do that, or whatever. No, they will discover as they read what they need to discover and what they need to get out of it. That's how I see it.
yeah. Well, that's exciting. Yeah, I look forward to reading it. I think that the writing process is a very interesting process. When I wrote my first book, I didn't know what to expect, right? I'm an accountant by trade. So I just kind of jumped in, and now the second time through, I understand a lot more what the reader wants. And so hopefully in this second book that comes out in February, so just a month after yours,
All
I
right.
will, yeah, that I will um you get, it's practice, right? You get better every time, and
Yeah.
it's such an interesting journey, and it is a huge accomplishment. So I commend you, because it takes a ton of time, and you're spilling your heart out, right? I mean, that was Olivia and I were talking the other day about my first book, that the daughter that I'm speaking at her uh, talk at her convocation tomorrow, uh, her class had to read my book as their
Ah.
mandatory summer reading. Yeah, she loved that one too.
Yeah, she was
But
so happy about it.
yeah, but you're putting your real personal stories out there,
Mhm.
and you have to go through with the mindset, just the same like when you're getting on a stage, that you're doing something because it can help other people. And if some people don't like it, some people don't like it. I mean, that's just how it works, right? And but you have to just put in the work to get it done. And so I commend you, because I know that it's a lot of work. And
Yeah.
um so let's go back to talking about confidence and speaking. And what do you say to someone who feels invisible? Because I think that we see this a lot, right? We see probably especially among women, but we see it in
Mhm.
men as well, that they really struggle to feel seen and to feel heard. And if they don't have the confidence to speak up, like what do you say to someone who says, like, I just feel like nobody sees me?
I would say you have been put on this earth for a special reason, and it's different for everybody. But you are unique. Everybody is unique, and they has something. And I, when I speak with someone directly, so I ask some questions, and make them feel comfortable, and they tell me a story perhaps, or they tell me something about their lives, and then I can see it from a bird's eye view, right?
Mm.
And say, wow, tell me more about that. And wow, tell me more about that. Really giving them the courage to speak about it. And what I hear is, then this really could help someone who goes through the same thing, or your story is inspiring because of that. So then I give that feedback, so they get validation. So, oh, okay. And and they can start out with something very small. If, for example, they volunteer or go to a organization that is a nonprofit organization, and they're always looking for people uh, to talk, to speak, like the Lions Club, or there's so many
Mm-hmm.
organizations out there, and just share that story. They're grateful. Or go to the hospital, and go to a um, nursing home, for example. They are happy to see you. Start where you feel comfortable, with little steps, and then build up from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we focus so much on having to do something, some big grand gesture,
Mm-hmm.
and not some small shift, small step that really, but that's how I think we accomplish things, is that one foot in front of the other, the small steps, because you don't just, nothing happens in one single moment, right? It's not like you're going to, I'll use a mountain. You don't climb a mountain one day. Well, some mountains you do, but you have to practice a long time to get there,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it doesn't just happen overnight. You don't get fit after one trip to the gym. You don't learn English, you don't learn German after one lesson, right? I mean,
Right.
all of these things take time, but we I think with social media and everything, we see the outcome as like, oh, everybody else can do this. Like, why can't I do this? Instead
Right.
of saying, oh, okay, let me see the work that was put into it.
Mm.
And I also think though with these smaller things, what it takes to get to that big mountain goal that you're trying to achieve, they all still matter too. I mean, even going and volunteering at a nursing home or working at a hospital, or for like me, taking on like a small client rather than like a huge corporation, that's still making on a big impact in someone's life. Whether that's the impact you want to make or not, you're still making a difference.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's what counts. Don't think so much about if you that's another thing. If you take your focus off of you
Mm-hmm.
and put the focus on others, it already removes some of the anxiety that you have, right? Put your focus on how can I help? You know, what can I do if I go to keep this example to a nursing home and just speak to one of the elderly and share a story, read them a story, ask them questions because you're amazed how many people have so much wisdom that they never shared. And that's another thing I can always encourage everybody, share what you've learned. And that was another reason for me to say, hey Sabine, it's time. You have so much wisdom, so many things that you experience in your life. You got to pass that on because we never know when our time is up.
Yeah. And I think that is such a good reminder of we can help people every day, right? And a lot of times we don't give ourselves credit for it. But I have someone that I work with that will always say that when you're not sharing your gifts, you're being selfish. So don't look at it as you're promoting yourself. Look at it as you're sharing your gifts because what you have can help other people. And I think that is such an important thing as we move forward, understanding that each and every one of us, what you said about being unique, each and every one of us can contribute in such a positive way. We just have to let it happen. And sometimes we're so afraid of judgment of everything that we're like, oh no, my voice doesn't matter, but it absolutely does. I mean, if something I've learned over my last 10 years is your voice absolutely matters. Every single person's voice absolutely matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have a method that you use, I believe, called the own method, OWN.
Yes. Yes. Um, so basically, it starts out with own your voice. You got to own your voice because when you understand who you are, when you make a commitment to speak out loud, then it's going to be so much easier to move forward because when we stand in our truth, and that brings me back to confidence, when we are confident in ourselves, who we are, the truth of who we are, then we are more likely to speak out. And that is what I call your own your voice. So one of the things that it's very interesting for me to see that people have so much fear of being seen differently than who they are for whatever reason, that they stop talking at all or stop sharing their voice at all. So that is the first thing that I do with my clients, to really make them understand who they truly are so they can own their voice.
Yeah, I think like for me, I put up a facade for many years because everybody assumed that I was this really tough, strong person. I mean, I guess I'm a pain, but am I tough and strong? No, I am. I mean, I am in certain ways, but it was to the point where I didn't cry for a very long time because I thought if I cried, first of all, people would think that I was weak and that I couldn't handle raising 6 children and that I couldn't handle doing all these different things. And so I just pretended to be something I wasn't. And I pretended so well that that's what I started to believe. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it really took a lot of self discovery to say, wait, you are pretending. This is not who you are. And take a step back. Let's figure this out, because you're not helping anybody in this way, because you should be authentic. You should be real. And authentic is used, a lot.
Yeah.
But the word real, you should be real, because
Yes.
that's what people need. They don't need someone pretending to be somebody else. And that has helped me tremendously moving forward, saying, right, like nobody else is paying attention and saying, this is who you need to be, right?
Right.
We've kind of created this facade that says this is who you need to be, and you keep doing it that way, and that's what people start believing. But they would be much happier if you were actually who you are.
Right. And that's really the first thing that I work, that's the own, is really own your presence, right?
Mm,
And how do we do this is develop body awareness. That's the first thing. And you probably heard, when you stand with a superwoman or superman pose, that already chest out. If you
Mm.
stand tall, that is body awareness. And just this pose, if you stand there, already activate something in your brain that then releases some of those happy hormones, those feeling good and confident. And again, vocal, that's another thing. Owning your presence is vocal strength. How do you speak? What is the melody that you're having in your voice? Are you speaking with confidence, or are you whispering? Are you standing, your shoulders forward, body language, soft, or sometimes we're, I don't know. All of that has something to do how you appear, and then the authentic poise to and to command any room. When you work on those things, and these are physical things we can learn, you will own the room. Of course, you have to work on your message. And then
Mm-hmm.
the last one is navigate the moment, So it's making sure that you have the techniques to control your nerves, handle objections, and adapt and to pressure with grace, because we all can make mistakes. And if you stand in your truth, also, you know what? Let me, even if you don't know anything in that moment, because that's another fear that people have, right? When they are in front of an audience. Well, let me check this out. I cannot give you the answer, but I will get
mm,
back with you, whatever you say.
yeah.
One of the things that you said that really like stuck with me there was the body language aspect of it, because I think it's something that people don't really think is important. And I was in a school event the other day, and I was being like a mock juror, and so this person was presenting at me, and it's someone that I would normally think is incredibly confident, but I don't know if she was just, it was the first time they were doing it, so she was nervous, and she had her arms like this
Mm,
almost
Uh-huh.
around her. And because of that, I almost was like, what? I don't trust her in that way. Like, I don't think she's presenting the best message here versus her opponent. And it's funny because like when growing up, these are like, oh, well, I'm not going to need these skills when I'm a lawyer or when I'm a doctor or when I'm blah, 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 blah. But like I'm sitting here in law school recognizing that I might be doing better than some people because I know how to present to a room through this podcast. Actually, someone asked me the other day, how do you have the ability to speak during cold calls? And I was like, I have a podcast with my mom and I have to think on the spot a lot.
I love that.
But it's skills that we don't think are important because we're not going into the field of acting, or we're not going into public speaking, or I'm not in this client facing role, but it's important in every single job.
Oh, absolutely. When I had my school and students that came into acting class or dance class, they don't necessarily become dancers or actors, but the skills they learned from it uh, helped them in interviews, job interviews,
Mm-hmm.
helped them to speak up in front of their team. It's utterly important. So yeah, body language, vocal control, all of that.
It's interesting because I think this often. So you'll see people walk into a room with their shoulders slumped, right? And they're like this, and you're like, oh, they're struggling with something. Like you can tell by the way someone
Mm-hmm.
walks in a room, versus really, stepping into your posture. Also, one of the things I've noticed a lot is after having 6 kids and watching all the kids walk across the stage, right? That how teenagers walk across the stage says a lot about them, right? A lot of them
Mm.
will do that slumpy walk and like they don't want to make eye contact and they're just trying to get across because they're so afraid, am I going to fall down, or someone, if I kind of slump over, people might not notice me. But I think it's the opposite. I think that, when you walk confidently across the stage, people are like, okay, that's what it's supposed to be, versus just like, oh, she looks very, insecure, very unsure of herself.
Hmm.
So and the other thing, when you talked about that, doing power poses, that your body believes it, right? It does give off chemicals in your brain. And the same thing I was reading the other day about smiling.
Mm.
Yes.
So when you're struggling with something, if you keep smiling, it actually will help your brain just like move forward, because instead of
Mm.
saying, oh my gosh, I'm so miserable, you start smiling and you're like, oh, I feel better. I feel better. Which,
Hmm.
we don't like on this podcast, and in my life, I don't like the fake it till you make it piece. I like to, I like you say it until you become it. So I
Hmm.
feel like when you do the power pose, it's also a saying it until you become it. When you're smiling, you're saying it until you become it. And that to me is really, really important in how we move forward.
And it's interesting that you said that. Oftentimes, when you are in a dire situation or you have to confront someone, a colleague, or something that is not good, and you just don't feel like I cannot smile, I cannot laugh, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the little tricks you can do is, um, before you go to this meeting, excuse yourself, go into the bathroom, take a pen and do this
Yeah.
for 1 minute. If you do
Mm.
that, see what happens is we trick our brain, because what happens when you do this, okay, that activates the laughing muscles, that gives a signal to your brain, says, oh, she is happy, so those happy hormones will be released, and your stress level goes down, your cortisol level goes down, and you feel a little bit better. You may not say, oh, I'm the happiest person in the world,
Mm-hmm.
but you just feel a little bit better. So that's just a little trick.
That's a great trick. I totally want
Yeah.
to try that. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually went, as you were talking, I was just making myself smile, and you feel it in your muscles and you feel
Hmm.
it moving up, it's really kind of a fun trick. I didn't put the pen in my mouth, but I was like, I can smile without
Yeah,
the pen.
that's right. That's
I could do
right.
that just for fun. Um,
Yes.
so we've talked a lot about confidence, but we haven't asked you directly, what does confidence mean to you?
Confidence for me means standing in the truth of who you are, um, and taking action, even if you, despite the fact that you may fail, right? So, because I understand we are not perfect and we make mistakes, but in the knowing that this can happen, you still move forward, and that for me is a confident person. And of course, we there are other things, how you stand and all the outside appearances, but I think if you know who you truly are, that you are a unique individuals with gifts and talents given to you by your creator, and you become more self-aware, then your confidence will rise.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting. We get a different answer from everybody that we have on the podcast. And I think that's a valid point, is that confidence is something different to every single person. And confidence is achievable by every single person. It's a skill and you need to build it. Just like we talked about building confidence on stage, building confidence in law school, whatever it is, it's something that you have to work on, like everything else we work on in our lives. It's not meant for somebody else. It's meant for everybody. But we have to claim it, we have to own it, and we have to step into our power.
Yes, yes. And that is the good thing. Uh,
Yeah.
Confidence is learnable, it's achievable,
Yes.
So you're not born with it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You develop it.
Right. Absolutely. Liv, you got your woman question?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. We haven't done a guest in a while. I thought
I
you were going to say you
know.
have your calendar.
No.
What's the best advice a woman in your life ever gave you?
The best advice is just be yourself.
Mm.
Just be yourself. Don't
Yeah.
try to be anybody else. And yeah, I think that's the best piece of advice that I received.
Yeah. Everybody else is taken, right? I mean,
Yes, yes.
we hear so often. Actually, Olivia and I did this episode a while back, and it was kind of funny because we were talking about being yourself and not comparing yourself to others and not wanting to be anybody else. And then you said something ridiculous, like she said, "Oh, well, I wish I could be so and so." I was like, "Oh my gosh, Olivia, the episode is about being yourself. Like, what are you doing?"
But you could if you act on stage as that
Yes,
character.
there we go. There we
See?
go. Through
That
acting, you can be other
yeah.
people.
You know,
But
I did acting in high school. Actually, I wrote my college essay on a lot of what you speak upon about how being on stage helped me develop my own inner confidence.
Yes. Yes. And it's so much fun. And oftentimes I even use quote unquote acting exercises when I do some workshops because they are fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes away that pressure of now doing something as you. Oftentimes I say, for example, when I had a voice students, right, and they were just also with singing, when you have low confidence, there's a voice in you, right?
mm,
Of course, there are
Mm.
techniques, but still, you have to, it's like peeling an onion one layer at a time. So, one of the exercises that I did with my singers, which I also now do with my clients, is okay, now sing the same song and pretend you're an opera singer. Oh, that's a fun game. I could do it. And all of a sudden, oh, they're coming out. Who is it? Whoa, where is this coming from? And so don't take yourself too seriously, but make sure to have fun as you're doing it. And those are some of the things, Olivia. It's so, so true. If you have fun, you will discover so much about yourself.
That's why they say dance like no one's watching and sing like you're in the shower, right?
Exactly.
I'm not very good at singing, but I can sing in the shower, no problem at all. And in the shower, I sound fantastic.
And that's what counts.
Okay, Liv, now it's time for your calendar.
It's a short one today. You
Okay.
are a human being.
That's it? You
Yeah.
are a human being. Okay. That's not as exciting as I was hoping it was going to be, but it's real. It's real. I mean, we're each different, right? I mean, you could read so much into that. We're each different. We each see confidence differently. We're all unique, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we can't look at each other and say, I wish I were that, because it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. So what is that calendar, Olivia?
Oh, I have a calendar from, I think he's an author because
Yes, he is.
from Gary John Bishop. Actually, my boyfriend's mom, she saw this calendar and was like, "Oh, I just pick up the book that goes along with it." And I was like, "That's funny." It's called the Uneff Yourself calendar. This is my third year, I think, having it, third or second year. And it was started off as like she got it for me for like a Christmas gift one year. And then
Mhm.
ever since then, it's been something that we've read on the podcast and just kind of had.
Oh,
I think
that's
that
Yeah.
it gives
interesting.
like good daily advice.
Yeah.
I have a cork board and I have a lot of them hung up on here, the ones that have been very inspiring.
Read tomorrow's just to see.
Okay. I was looking at the ones up there if they were good. Tomorrow's would be, if you spend your life wanting to be happy, by its very nature, you're constantly starting from a place of unhappy.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true. When we are not in the present moment, in the now, we are always either looking to the past that we cannot change and looking at the past with regret, or in the future that is always in the future, right? And oftentimes people say, "Oh, I'm happy when this happens." No, you can be happy without any reason.
Mm.
Be happy just because you are able to breathe right now. You have oxygen in your lungs. So that's good. I'm happy to be here today with you,
Yeah.
wonderful ladies, who have such an inspiring podcast and giving so much through your own experiences and the guests that you have here. So that makes me happy.
That's perfect. That's a perfect way to end it, because I say the same thing. You have a choice every day. You can choose to be miserable, you can choose to be happy, right? I mean, yes, there's outside influences, but the idea of in this moment, you can say, "You know what? This is an amazing thing that's happening right now. It doesn't matter what everything else is happening out there, but right now this is amazing." So, I love that. So, where can people find you?
Just very simple. Go to my website, sabinekvenberg.com. For those who are listening, it's SABINEKV, like Victor, ENBERG.com. And if you put in /resources, there you will find tons of resources. Some of them are free, and you can get started with that.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here. We'll have links in the show notes. So remember to like this podcast, share it with your friends, and we will see you next time. Always remember, you are unshakable.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to Her Unshakable Confidence with Simone and Olivia Knego. We hope this episode has made your day just a little bit brighter and given you the inspiration you need to confidently go about your week. Always remember to be authentically you. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And feel free to connect with them on Instagram at Simone Knego and at Olivia Knego. Till next time.